Hello, everybody. I am thrilled to have an old friend of mine and someone whose name we all remember thanks to Mr. Ian Bishop, Carlos Brathwaite. Ricky, welcome to this chat. How are you keeping?
Thank you. I'm good. Obviously, it's been a lot different. I know you've never seen my hair this long. Um, so yeah, the quarantine chronicles have begun, man.
Yeah, and it's pretty good because the channel's called Cow Corner Chronicles with Chandresh. So it sort of fits in with that. So good to see that your hair's growing so that there's something to look forward to when the lockdown ends.
I also like the name, Cow Corner Chronicles. Symptomatic, symptomatic of my batting a bit. Yeah, I love it, man.
Yeah. Okay, let's before we start off, there's a very serious thing that I want to ask you, and this is a question that comes from an old friend of yours. It's a very serious question. Can you give one snap for Mr. Billings, sir?
Sir, just one snap, sir. One snap. Legendary.
Okay, and remember the name. Before you played that tournament, you had played just two T20s for West Indies. But that remember the name and that four sixes. How often do you replay that over, or how often do you replay that moment in your mind or on YouTube or anywhere? Does people ask? How often do people ask you about that?
I get asked about it quite often. Obviously, it's been 4 years now since the final, but obviously within those 4 years, I wouldn't have come across everyone that would have watched it. So different people that would have watched it live or would have seen it. The first time they've interacted with me, probably 3 years after, maybe this year, 4 years after. Um, and they always want to say, I didn't think y'all could do it, or I was backing you, or I was this place, or I was that place when it happened. And it's good, because being a sports fanatic myself,
Mm,
there are things that have happened in the world of sport, and you always try to, like, as technology would have it, drop a pin like on
mm,
Google Maps. Um, where was I? What was I doing? So for me to be the person that has actually evoked that kind of emotion in other persons, for me is a sense of satisfaction when people say it. Obviously, it can get overwhelming a bit as well. Sometimes you'll be places where you just want to chill, potentially with family or friends or on a night out. Um, but just having respect for fans, people's times, and what you did, you entertain the conversation, and then you look back on it and you think, like I did that type of thing. So it's good to have evoked that sort of emotion.
mm.
People still come up to me and they still tell me where they were, what they were doing, if they believe they could have done it or not, and how it made them felt. And especially when it comes from a West Indian fan or a West Indian who was abroad. I remember one story that was real, real touching.
Mm,
Um, this guy said that um, he had got some pressure at work.
mm,
Um, and obviously, being a West Indian, it wasn't much of his colleagues that were exactly like he was.
mm,
So just the fact that we had gotten over England and the way that we did it, he went into work with so much gusto, chest in the air, and for people that are fighting so much tougher battles day in, day out, for me to be able to give that one person that satisfaction, that joy, that belief, that confidence was a blessing. And there are many stories just like it. Um, so yeah, so for me, it's a great sense of satisfaction when people could tell me those sort of stories, and I can know that I made a positive impact on at least one person.
And uh, uh, someone like Ben Stokes, he's obviously gone on to win the World Cup and he's played big part in Ashes. What did you feel for Ben Stokes? What do you feel for Ben Stokes right after that match or over the time that has passed? Uh, how has your equation been with him since that knock?
So on the night of, obviously we had our celebrations. We spent a while at the ground, waiting for all the media stuff to be over. England spent some time at the ground as well.
Mm,
Um, and I think it was probably 45 minutes, an hour after, could be a little longer. And I went over to the dressing room. Obviously, me and Chris Jordan are good friends, so I asked Chris if I could chat to Ben, and I told him like somebody had to win.
Mm,
Obviously, it was in the way that he didn't want to be the person to be perceived to have lost it as such.
mm,
But very well done, and I just shared my admiration for him and for what he had done in cricket up
mm,
until then.
mm,
Um, and yeah, and I told him he's someone that I admire, obviously being an all-rounder similar to myself.
mm,
And I got his jersey as well.
mm,
Um, and yeah, and he was just like very well played, congrats. So it was cordial. I mean, I think outside of sport, I think a lot of people see the rivalry on the field, and they think that it spills over off the field, and then that you hate each other or you don't get along.
mm.
Um, but no, it's been cordial, and ever since I've seen him, whether it's been IPL or England versus West Indies, um, we'd always have cordial conversation, always a shout out. So I think there's mutual respect. There's definitely respect from my side to his, especially for everything he's gone on to achieve in the game since then.
Mm.
Um, so yeah.
And Ian Bishop, he's probably one person who's immortalized your name forever with those words. Remember the name. What kind of interactions have you had with Ian Bishop after that or before that? And have you had any kind of history with him in the sense that you knew him from before very well, that it came out so naturally for Bish that night?
I didn't know him that well before, but I would say that out of all the West Indian commentators, he was the one that um, he'd obviously call a spade in the
Mm,
commentary box,
mm,
but he'd also be on the pitch the next morning to basically kind of report to you what he commentated.
mm,
And it was not so much as because he wants you to like him, but it was
mm.
more of, I saw this and I think this may help moving forward.
Okay.
Um, and I always respected that. Obviously, you remember the name and the four sixes, and his voice, as iconic as it is, will be synonymous with myself and that day.
Mm,
But even after that, it's been a respect um, from me to him, from him to me. And again, it's more about I am seeing it from a commentator's point of view, bird's eye view, um, and this is my belief. And why I think he is or would be a good leader is
mm,
because of the conversations that he has. It is not you need to bowl out swingers to him or you need to
mm,
bowl in swingers to him. It is more a case of I realized he was doing this. What was your thought process?
mm,
What would you do differently? This is what I think. So it was always cordial conversation again, and it was insightful because a lot of times we claim the pundits are experts, and a lot of the pundits are very, very negative.
mm,
If I play a bad shot, if I bowl a bad ball and it gets hit for four, then fine. Like that is the problem. A
mm,
lot of persons are not able to come up with a solution or
mm.
talk through why the problem was a problem in the first place. And I found that over the years, Bish was very good at translating the problem into a reason and then challenging your decision making for hopefully a better solution in the future.
And not many know that the Delhi Daredevils contract for 2016 actually came about following a test debut in Australia that happened earlier in the season. How big a moment was that for you to be picked for Delhi Daredevils and at a very high price as well at that time? What were you doing and what was the feeling like to be picked and then to go on to play for Delhi Daredevils in 2016 for you?
Obviously, the professional cricket, I don't think you'll find much professional cricketers now that would say they don't dream of playing in the IPL. You obviously want to represent your nation, that's first and foremost. I
Mm,
think everyone would like to experience the IPL in some way, and that it was certainly was a dream of mine after it came up and it blew up the way that it did.
mm,
And I remember me and my wife were on a staycation back home in Barbados. we knew the auction would be coming up whilst we were on staycation. And I was really looking forward to it. Like, I always follow it, regardless if I think I'm going to be picked up or not. I try to follow all the auctions, all the drafts. And I remember me and Tabré Shamsi, we had a good rapport from CPL. We stayed in contact. I know we both wanted to be selected. So we were kind of like following it, seeing who's the players to pick and the wild cards and that sort of stuff. And I remember staying up for it. Either staying up or got up like real early to see it. And I remember my name coming up. And then it had to be refreshing cricket for refreshing. Then I saw, I can't remember if it was Delhi that bid first or Kings 11. But I saw I got a bid. So for me, that was like, all right, good. My agent, Will Quinn, we had some chats a couple of days before, and he was saying, these are the teams that potentially can go in for you. These are the teams that are looking for all-rounders similar to your skill set, etc. And Delhi was one. Kings 11 was one. So just watching, I was like, all right, good. I've been bought. Like, that was the most important thing. And then they said, just going. So then I refreshed it again, and it was still going. Fair enough. And then obviously it was in crore. So to follow from crore, then I had to have like one Google tab open, and basically INR to USD to kind of understand like what the prices are at the moment. And yeah, so gone to that tab, come back, and it's still going. Like, okay, not bad. Mommy will be happy. But my wife was still sleeping. And I remember tweeting, I think I got bought for 4.2 crore or something like that. And I remember tweeting when it was like 2.8 crore or something like that. Just like the shock face, the shock emoji, because it was a shock. And then, yeah, so it happened. My agent was messaging me, are you watching? Are you following? Yes, a couple of people were messaging me. And then, yeah, bought 4.2 crore Delhi Daredevils. And it was just like, it was overwhelming. It was just one of them moments where you just sit and you like process it. Obviously, there's loads of tweets now coming in. Who's Carlos Brathwaite? What has he done? Why does he deserve this big prize? Blah, blah, blah. And then my agent calls. We chat for a bit. So then I decided, all right, it's time to wake up. Well, she was my girlfriend then, Jessica. So I woke her up and I told her it was bought in the IPL, 4.2 crores, I think 600,000 US or something like that. And she wakes up very dotish, and she loves her sleep. She hates to be sleep deprived. So just like, yeah, ting. And then she was just like, Carlos, stop it, man. Stop it. Just let me go back to sleep. I was like, I'm serious. I just got bought for 600,000 US. All right, Carlos. Like, she really dismissed it. So then I had to call my agent, put my agent on the phone, and let him speak to her. And then she was like, oh, you serious? So I had like 2 or 3 watershed moments in that one moment. But no, it was after the whole shock of it all, it was good, man. I think as a cricketer, as much as we don't want it to be the case, oftentimes your value is perceived based on if you are selected in these franchise tournaments and how much you're bought for. So to have that sort of price tag on my head, obviously a little bit of pressure came, but more than that, it was the satisfaction of knowing, well, look, I worked so hard over the last few years to get to where I'm at, and now I'm being handsomely rewarded for it.
And you obviously made a few friends for life during your stint at Delhi Daredevils. And a couple of your friends at Delhi Daredevils wanted me to ask you, how's your FIFA practice coming along? Because they say that they need some challenge next time you guys meet. You know who I'm talking about. Can you tell us who they are?
Can you tell me who you're talking about? Because it cannot be Mr. Karuna, yeah?
It's Mr. Billings, Sam Billings.
And during IPL, we had a FIFA face-off.
Yeah.
And we drew 1-1 in the first leg at his home, and then I won 1-0 at my place. So I won 2-1 in aggregate. So, Mr. Billings, sir, and Mr. Karunaya, who probably got in on the act, you all need to sharpen your FIFA skills before you come at me.
And talking about sharpening skills, did you or Chris Jordan ever sharpen your singing skills while being classmates with Rihanna?
No, that's is different levels. It's different levels. Um, Now Rihanna's is not even slowly. She is idol, and everything she's done, everything she's sacrificed. You see her get to the level that she's at now, and obviously we had her come visit and show some support in the World Cup last year against Sri Lanka, and for her to be at the level that she's at, on par with the Beyonces of this world, and to still show that humility. So I think she got a private jet, and she was supposed to leave before the game. Obviously, the game was coming down very tight, very tight, very tight. So on one hand, she wanted to have a chat with Mr. Eswick, who's like a father figure to her, myself, Chris. She also wanted to lend her support right to the last ball, and as a result, she just kept putting back the jet, putting back the jet, putting back the jet, and I could only assume that it would have incurred a hefty cost. But for her to show that level of support and go beyond the call of duty to be there to support us, see and chat with Mr. Eswick, see and chat with myself, and then to go around to all the boys in the dressing room and just be so down to earth, as though she's a normal woman on the street. To take her time out is something special, man. So we aren't in constant contact of any sort, but the fact that she remembered me, we were still able to have a good conversation. She took her time out to pay respects to her former class teacher and games teacher, and like a father figure to her, speaks volumes about her character. And anything that she has received up until now, and anything that she gets in the future, more than deserved.
And was there any indication at all when you guys were classmates, as in you, Rihanna, and Chris Jordan, that she had inclination towards this particular field in your
Well,
school days?
we weren't ever classmates. We went to school together.
Hmm.
So myself and Rihanna came into school the same time. I repeated first form. She went forward. Then she repeated fourth form.
Hmm.
So we were in fourth form together. So me and Robin were classmates in first and in fourth form.
Hmm.
I'm not sure that Chris was ever classmates per se, but Chris was 1 year beneath me. So we
Okay.
were always at school together. So definitely schoolmates, but I can't remember if Chris was ever in her class. But when it comes to, I guess, signs of talent, definitely. She used to go to Trinidad to perform. She'd miss classes as well. So that's when I say based on the sort of stuff that I mean. And then, if I'm not mistaken, she won Miss Combermere, which is our secondary school. And obviously her talent was singing. So there was definite inclination that this girl was talented beyond her years. I guess in football you call it a generational talent. Um, but there have been so much of those. There have been so much people that you would have seen, whether it be cricket, football, singing, athletics, who would shatter records at underage levels and then never transition past that. So to not only transition out of secondary school and onto the local and regional stage, but to go internationally, obviously have the hit Pandy replay, and then to take that hit and turn it into global stardom and an iconic status is a whole different level of just skipping class to be flown out and basically sing at a young age. So kudos to her.
In talking about shattering records, your knock against New Zealand in the World Cup last year in the 50-over version was something of a earth-shattering effort as well. How often do you play back that final shot in your mind? And did Ross Taylor tell you something funny after the match? What was that, if you can share that with us?
Um, with regards to the first question and playing back the shot, I think it was up till like 3:30, 4 a.m. that night. well, that morning. Um, and I mean, I gotten into a zone where I was hitting the ball cleanly. That is my area. That's my zone. Um, and it wasn't premeditated of any sort. Like I had a very frank chat with O'Shane when he came out, and I was like, I think we needed 50 runs or so, or 40 enough. And I was telling him, look, I'll just give you 1, 2 balls to block out. If we win this game, I need to score majority of the runs. Um, we got it down to the point where we needed 6 or 7, and in many people's eyes, just get a single, get to the next end. But on one hand, I've been in a similar situation against Afghanistan in the 2016 T20 World Cup, where we needed 6 runs, I think, um, and I got a full toss and pat it down for a single so it could be on strike for the last over. Nabi bowled the last over to the big side, slow turning wicket, and I faced 3 balls and got out, and we lost the game eventually. And in speaking to a few of the senior guys afterward, they were just like, if you can finish the game in one go, back yourself to finish it, because you never know what happens the other balls. If you can't finish it, then don't take an unnecessary risk. Back yourself to take it as deep as possible. And that's exactly what I told O'Shane. Like, we one hit away. If it comes in my zone, I can try to win it in this ball. If it is a ball that I don't think can hit for 6, however, back up, we try to get a single. And even when I look back today, the same night or the same morning of, I thought I could hit for 6. And it's funny because obviously in the World Cup final, I think it was Stokes who got caught by Bolt on the boundary and he stepped back onto the rope.
Yeah.
So Trent, why didn't you step back on the rope for me? but nah, I think it's just one of them things, man. If it goes for 6, then good shot, gutsy decision, congrats, fearless, that sort of stuff. When you get caught, then it's like it didn't work, so should have gotten a single. Then I asked myself, suppose I nudged the ball into the leg side and didn't get a single or got a run out going for a single, I would have felt a lot worse. Did O'Shane the ball on the first ball the next over, or had we got a run out trying to get a single off that last ball, than me backing my ability, backing my talent, and going deep and being caught on the boundary. So I obviously don't like the way it ended. I would prefer to score 85 and we won the game. But having gotten it to that situation, how I got it there, I just would have wished that I got it 2 meters further.
And what did some of the New Zealand players, especially Ross Taylor, tell you?
To be honest, mine was a little blank. It was just like, I can't believe it's ended the way it's ended. But I think it was Ross Taylor and Kane, and they were just very well done. Like obviously tough luck. But nah, amazing stuff. Very well played type of thing. I can't remember if there was a joke somewhere in there or whatever. I tell you, my mind was just blank. But I just remember, them like basically congratulating me for a good knock, and obviously saying tough luck because obviously he didn't get over the line.
I don't know if I'm correct, but I believe that your 2 heroes in cricket are Rahul Dravid and Kevin Peterson. You can't get 2 diametrically opposite people as Rahul and KP to be your idols. How? And someone like you, who's like closer to KP than Rahul, how is it that you like 2 people so diametrically different?
So when I was younger, I was a lot skinnier. I was always slightly taller than everyone else at my age, but I was real skinny, and I was more of a touch player. And I remember under 15, I opened the batting for Barbados, and I batted all 50 overs and got 98 not out. So that was my style of play. Just easy on the eye, just very reliable, very dependent. And they had a few guys in the team who were a bit more muscular, had a bit more power. And I was literally the wall. That was my nickname. And they would score the runs around me. I'd basically block up an end. And I really, really like Dravid. One of the things I really loved about him, funny enough, was he'd play a cover drive, he'd play a flick, and the fielder would have to chase every single ball. They won't catch it, it'll still hit the boundary, but they'll have to chase it. And that was symptomatic of his timing and his effortless stroke play. And I just really, really enjoyed watching him. And obviously, because I saw similarities in my current style of batting, he was somebody that I really, really looked up to. And I remember he got 48 against the West Indies, I think twin 48s or something like that. And those were probably two of the most important knocks in that whole series. And it gave India a platform to go on and I think either draw or win that game. And he got man of the match, something like that.
Yeah.
And I remember scoring 100 and having a list of DVDs to choose from and choosing that one. Obviously with analysis and picking apart the innings and these times where he struggled and how he got past it and then he flowed a bit and then he reined it back after he lost some wickets type of thing. So I really, really liked Dravid. I then got into on the 19 stuff and got started to bulk up a bit, started to hit the ball a little harder. And then I just like the way KP took apart bowlers. Like he always seemed in control. He always wanted to be on the front foot, always wanted to be the aggressor. Yeah, I guess I like players with that mentality who are not conforming to rules, making their own rules as they go along and doing it in a way that even if they fail is like, I'm going to score in a matter of innings, in a matter of balls, so it doesn't matter. He plays forward, inside edge, it doesn't matter. He'll steer you down. Or he'll walk across and flick it out, swing it through mid-wicket for 4. So I like that sort of brash, but in control, aggression and approach. And that's the way I started to model my batting in a bit. Obviously, it became more powerful, started to thunk a few down the ground. And yeah, I guess that change or that evolution from idol to idol was a bit about my evolution in physical stature and my mental outlook on batting and the way that I started to approach my innings.
Did you tell any of them that you had modeled some part of your career on both of them? Did you ever get a chance? You worked with Rahul at Delhi Daredevil, so did you ever tell him that?
So I'll never forget my first encounter. Kurt Edwards, a very good friend of mine, someone I look up to a lot. So he obviously made his debut for West Indies against India, got 100 in, I think, Dominica. That tour came back to Barbados and he and Munaf Patel had formed a good relationship. And I think it was either a rain break or like a lunch break or something. He told Munaf to tell Rahul, there's a young guy, he's a fan of yours, if you'd be willing to speak to him for 5-10 minutes. So I'd asked Kurt if he could arrange it. And I remember having all these questions to ask. So I wanted to know about slip fielding because many may not know, but me and Chris Jordan used to field in the slips at school together for about 4 or 5 years. We probably dropped 4 catches total. Okay. First and second slip. So it was like, boom, I want to know about slip fielding. I want to know about captaincy. I want to know about batting, your mindset, everything. So I had all these questions in my mind to ask Rahul. Kurt eventually looked at the stand. He called me down, told the policeman he's fine, he's coming to us. And I remember we met in the hallway at Kensington Oval. And Kurt was like, Rahul, Carlos, Rahul, young cricketer. I think he was playing for Barbados then, and a big fan of yours. And I remember I think I shook his hand. He had a cup of coffee. And I just remember looking up at him and I was just like, this is Rahul Dravid. Like I had a proper starstruck fanboy moment. And yeah, it's like, I cannot even remember if we spoke, what we spoke about. I could just remember the smell of coffee on his breath. And afterwards, like someone asked me, like, so yeah, we talked to Dravid about, what did you mention to Dravid? What did Dravid tell you? What was the advice? And I was just like, I don't know. I literally don't know. All I can remember is the smell of coffee on his breath. Obviously, fast forward to 2016 on he's coach. And I left the World Cup. spent a day in Kolkata, flew the next day to Delhi, and I think we had a team meeting right away. So he met me at the door, and then he was just like, Carlos, welcome. And then I was just like, nah, I can't mess up this time too. And I just gave him a hug, asked him for a selfie. And then I was like, I was meaning to do that for the last 3-4 years. So I just need to get it out the way. So yeah, he knows. And later that season or next season, we were out at a dinner at a friend's house, and we were talking, playing some pool and stuff, and I mentioned it to him. He was a little embarrassed, but yeah, he knows. I think I mentioned it to KP once in Big Bash, but it was a less controlled situation. So he was doing commentary, I was playing, so I was warming up. I just shouted him for a bit, bum, bum, bum. He was a little less receptive, and I could understand why. But I've never had the ability to be able to convey how much I had idolized him growing up, like beginning my career.
And there's another aspect of your cricket that has been seen over the last 4 years, and that was captaincy of the T20 team of West Indies. How big a moment was that? And now that you're not doing it, how deflating was it to be taken away?
So growing up, dreams were play for Barbados, captain Barbados, win a World Cup. Obviously not T20, at that time it wasn't T20. But I always wanted to follow in footsteps of 75 and 79, bringing that glory back. 2004 in England, Champions Trophy was monumental. So it was like, I want to be a part of that. And then to play for West Indies and captain West Indies. And I accomplished those. So when I was asked to be captain, it was like, I don't want to take the reins of captaincy just to tick a box, just to say I've captained West Indies. So when they got the initial call, I said, well, look, let me talk to my friends and family about it, and I'll get back to you. And I spoke to some people that advised me. I spoke to my family about it. It obviously was going to be a big challenge, especially taking over as soon as the World Cup was finished. So basically, your first game is the first game as captain is the first game in defense of or as being world champions. So yeah, it was a little challenging, and I decided, you know what, like these are sort of challenges that you want as a professional athlete. Take the challenge head on. And I messaged and called Sammy and just let him know that I was offered the position and I intend to take the role. I did say at the time though, when I got the interview, I did say that, it was the World Cup. If it was up to me, I'd allow Sammy to lead the team out in Miami for the 2 games against India, and then I could always take over 4 or 5 months later. I think our next assignment was Pakistan in the UAE. And I said it would be fair on him to be able to lead his troops out as world champions. But that is not my call. So whatever the panel decides, I am accepting the offer. If I'm giving it right away, then I'll take it up and we can move forward. If not, I understand. They got back to me. You are the captain. Bum, bum, bum. We started to put plans in place. And I guess that first week, knowing that I'd be captain and the joy of it all, we were still going through the test series against India. And then I'd been dropped from test cricket. So it was like, I wanted to play test cricket and it wasn't in the team. So that was a bit deflating. But then it was captain. So it was like, all right, cool. You probably got like an extra week or so to make plans and, watch back some T20 cricket, try to talk to some people who you trust about leadership. Because I think captaincy is leadership. So I had my stint, 3 years. I don't think that I probably don't think we played 2 series with that full World Cup winning team. So it was more of a case then of me being a bridge between what was a very successful team under Sammy, who would have won 2 World Cups and made it to knockouts in the 2014 World Cup, and then basically me ushering a new set of talents in. So I hardly played with Sunil. Had injuries. Chris, same thing. Pollard had a few injuries and was unavailable for some parts. Bravo, I think, had problems with the board. So there were a lot of reasons. Russell had injuries as well. So that the core of that team was unavailable. Badri had retired. So I don't ever equate my captaincy stint in comparison to the stint of Sammy or to what the team would have done prior, because my stint and my evolution, or the beginning of the evolution after that 2016 World Cup, was not in comparison or in conjunction with what had gone beyond, or well, before the 2016 World Cup. So I look back on my stint with pride. I think that it probably changed me the way that I didn't want to be changed, and it's something that I only realized within the last year or so, where I lost my aggression. I lost my, not fight, but I could be a little hot-headed. And I guess that brings the best out of me. And in a way, to be in a attempt to be a more cultured, cool, calm leader of men, I sacrificed that part of my personal game, my personal approach, and it could have paid detriment to my personal performance as well. However, if I separate the two, my personal performance versus my leadership, I think that my leadership would have gotten an A grade and my performance probably a C. So once the captaincy was taken away in T20, I honestly couldn't fight and say I deserve to be in the team on performance alone. It was disheartening, however, to be dropped from the ODI team, because the past two out of the last three series before that would have been the England series at home, the World Cup in England, and the India series in the Caribbean. In the England series, I performed well with bat and ball. In the World Cup, I performed well with bat and ball. And in the India series, I did okay with the ball. And most of the 2 of the 3 games were 30 over games, and 1 got rained out. So I don't think that my drop in ODI cricket was justified, but they were going a new way. I'm not one to, at least lately, try to find reasons all the time, because it only takes away from your time that you can actually be using to better yourself. So I've let that slide very, very quickly and easily, and I've tried to get past it as quickly as possible. And it's more so an attempt to ensure that I use my time as viably as possible, and less so to prove a point per se, because that only takes away from things and the time that I could be using. So yeah, when I look back on it, it's obviously deflating to be dropped from a team, not selected in a tournament, stripped the captaincy. All these things are deflating, and it's human nature to have a negative impact, whether it be sadness, whether it be anger. But when I look back, I hold my head high, because there would have been a lot of young players now making the entrance into international cricket. And I think that through my leadership, I would have given them a good pathway into international cricket. And in a lot of times, I would have bore the brunt of criticism, whether I wanted it or not, and given them kind of a shield to be able to excel the way that they are now. So while the results weren't what I'd wanted them to be in all instances, there were a few times where we went beyond the call of duty and we did things that no one expected us to. And being the leader of that ship, I'm proud.
So what do you see the future for yourself right now? Do you want to continue being playing in the franchise circuit, and at the same time attempt to make a comeback to the West Indies team? And are you looking at the shorter formats more than the longer format? What is your own future goal and ambition?
Well, I haven't played first class cricket for 4 years,
Mm.
so I don't think first class cricket is a reasonable ambition to have. Um, There's a 50 over World Cup in 2023. There's obviously the T20 World Cup at the end of this year if it goes ahead. There's also a T20 World Cup next year, 2021. Obviously, you want to be involved in World Cups. I, from a first-hand perspective, would have seen how good performances in the World Cup could potentially change your life.
Mm.
So obviously, that's a goal, to be present in one, two, hopefully all three of those World Cups.
Mm.
And I think between now and then it's just a process. If that process culminates with selection, then whoop to do. If it doesn't, then there's a bigger picture, and that would be trying to get myself in physical and mental shape,
Mm.
trying to stay there, and then for me to try to lead a life that my family will be proud of, and to eventually start and run a family that society will be proud of as well. So, I mean, cricket right now is Carlos Brathwaite, and that's the biggest thing. But leading into your, what you call, I guess, twilight years and preparing for retirement and the back end of your career, there are bigger fish to fry. And whilst you need to make sure that cricket um, gets as much attention as possible, you need not pass up and neglect other parts of your life as well. So for me, moving forward, still working out as best as I can, still practicing as hard as I can. And I think the goal for me right now was, it has been over the last 12 months, to strip back the layers and forget about selection, forget about um, goals per se moving forward, and look more at processes and what do I need to do to make sure that if another chance arises, that I can take it with both hands. And that's what I've been working hard on. And I think once I get myself in a position that I can maximize the opportunity, then we could then start looking a little bit more towards selection of certain teams, um, participation in certain franchise tournaments, etc.
And there's another interesting aspect about you, and that is that you own a bat company, Trident Sports. What is that all about?
So I played professional cricket in Ireland for a couple of seasons, and I remember the very first season I wanted a long blade bat, but couldn't find any, and none that were good enough quality. And obviously, I wanted to make a good impact. First time away from home for 5 6 months, um, and I remember seeing all these English guys and Irish guys who were similar age, probably a little younger, in my opinion, not as talented as I were, but they had Kookaburra deals, GM deals, Grinnell's deals. So I was thinking, why a young man from the Caribbean who's come up through the ranks playing for Barbados has a potential future to play for West Indies? Why can't I get a back contract? What infrastructure does there need to be? So I started to do some research. I had some friends from India who would have played like third, fourth, and fifth, 11 at the club. And I started to do some research and ask some questions about where are bats made, who makes bats, what's the process, um, can I get a bat custom made for me? And through that conversation, then they were just like, oh, well, you can get pads and stuff made if you want your pads a little longer, if you want your gloves a little bigger. So, okay, and if I want to start a brand, like, what's the process there? So, through having those conversations, I eventually started to write up some stuff, make some notes, do some research, and put it all together. Um, and there's a broken trident in the Barbadian flag
Mm.
that signifies our break away of the rule from England and
Mm.
basically our independence. And I thought, you know what? I'm a Bajan at heart and I want to show that loyalty in this brand, because the whole reason of starting the brand is for me to be able to support young guys who may be in the same position as I am in now, moving forward to accelerate their careers. So got that first order out of the way, and the rest, as I say, is history. So it's been going on for about 10 years, becoming more and more stable. I got a good friend of mine who's now my advisor in
Mm.
all things business, financially. He came on and he helped me to run it since 2014. Um, and yeah, we've been doing some good things. We sponsor Haley Matthews. At one point in time, we had DeAndre Dottin, Raymond Reefer, who played for West Indies, Sunil Ambers. So a few players that have passed through the Trident Sports portfolio, and it gives rise to the initial idea, which was providing opportunities for young persons to basically go and attack the world cricketing wise. And it's done with cricket kit, um, designed and branded in the Caribbean. And funny story about the bat that was used in the final.
Mm.
My good friend, he's now the bat maker at Trident,
Mm.
Errol Edie, very good with his hands. So he
Mm.
built a step for my house by hand without plan, anything. And I just asked him a time, you think you can make a cricket bat? And he was like, I don't know, but yes. So we started to look into how do you actually make a bat. We started to learn about clefs, clefs and handles. So I reached out to one of my suppliers and asked if he could send some clefs in, send some handles as well, and then send some part-made bats. So we went through the whole process of shaping the bat and all that. And then Errol came to England, worked with Tim Keeley for a week or so. And then he came back and he was like, Carlos, I can make a bat for you and I want you to use it. So he got these willows from Tim. Boom, he made one. And he always recalls him screaming in the yard like 1 a.m. a morning. And his wife waking up very, very angrily asking what's up. He just saying, look, they just made this bat for Carlos. And this bat is a pinger. I got something happened with this bat. And she just said, all right, cool. You know, like obviously she don't appreciate it. So a week later, I guess, or a few days later, Pollard then pulls out of the World Cup through injury. And I'm selected as a replacement. So he was like, Carlos, this is perfect. Take this bat with you. So I had no plans on using it, I can be honest. But I said, I'll take it. So the bat I was using at the time was light. This bat had a little more weight. And I remember playing against South Africa, and I think David Visa was bowling some cutters, and it was swinging too early all the time. I'm missing. So I called Ashley Nurse, and they said, bring my other bat for me. It's a little heavier, but and then I went on to get like 14 or so in the back end, hit a 6 that basically sealed the game, single, we won the game. And I was like, cool, you know, I could stick with this.
Yeah.
And that bat eventually hit the 4 6s that won the World Cup. So a good story about a Bajan brand created how many ever years ago, then evolving to the point where a Barbadian bat maker could make a bat for a Barbadian that eventually conquered the world. And that is a story that would live very, very long in my heart.
Absolutely, absolutely. Talking about conquering the world, Vicky, do you agree with me when I say that Real Madrid and Liverpool are the best football clubs in the world?
I know that was a bit. Manchester United all the way.
And any particular reason for that?
I gotta be honest. I can't remember exactly when I started supporting Man United. I think it could have been around '99 with the treble. But the first team I really used to support was Fiorentina with Batistuta and Rui Costa. And I think after the treble, I started to follow Man United a lot more. And then I eventually became like a diehard researcher to a fan, now a diehard supporter type thing. So I think it just evolved over the years.
Ricky, thanks a lot for your time. I hope the next time we meet you, you've had a haircut and you're still smiling, you're still laughing, and we should go get one back at Sam, because the next time I talk to Sam, I'll probably take questions from you for Sam. And Tarun, I've already
ask him about the FIFA face-off in 2016.
Thanks a lot, Ricky. Thanks a lot for your time. It was really fun chatting with you. Hope you stay safe, stay indoors, and get a lot of practice whenever you can.
Thanks, man. It's been a pleasure. Take care.
Take care. Take care. Thanks a lot.